Welcome to the Collaborative Resource Hub by Wellness Provisions. Our mission is to bridge the gap between mental health, wellness, and music, specifically rock and roll. I'm Amy McBride, owner of Wellness Provisions, the most badass wellness business. Wellness Provisions supplies rock and rollers with high-quality supplements. We give you a trustworthy place to go where you can essentially shop blindfolded. Our wellness kits were created out of a need to simplify your shopping experience and make it stress-free. You'll get the most effective nutrients in the least amount of bottles with the least trial and error. Immerse yourself in the Collaborative Resource Hub by going to our website where you'll have access to helpful resources that can nudge you in the right direction. Let's inspire each other. If that guy did it, so can you. Find the Collaborative Resource Hub interviews on YouTube, all major podcast platforms, and get cool music and wellness perks by supporting us on Patreon. Last but not least, my legal disclaimer. Nothing in this interview or the Collaborative Resource Hub substitutes medical advice. Please connect with your GP if you need medical guidance. Nick from the Happies. Hello.
How's it going?
It's good.
Stoked to be here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. How's your day going?
It's going good, but I'm up usually all night. Like I write music in the day, and then I like sending shit out across like different countries at night, pretty late. So I wake up usually even later than this. It's pretty bad, but I'm up very late, so it's not like a lazy thing. It's just like
Your
I don't know.
schedule is just different. That's all.
A weird schedule for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks for, going to bed earlier last night so that you could.
I did try. I tried. Yeah, I tried. It didn't work very good though, but I tried.
All right. So do you write most of the songs for the Happies, or is it like a collaborative?
Yeah, I write but like okay, so I'll come with like an A and B part, and I grew up to a lot of like Beatles and stuff like that, or like even Nirvana and stuff, and I think like so I'd come with like an A part, a verse and a chorus, and a lot of times the band will add like a bridge. And but I think one day we're gonna have like the band we'll do like a homies album type thing where they'll write stuff because they're all very talented. They all have their own side projects and
Oh, really?
shit like that. Yeah, like Brett Brazil, my bassist, he has a DJ thing called Me and Mud, and Ben, our drummers, Ben Moore, he sits in and he plays drums with like a lot of bands and shit at live things. And Alex, same thing. He's a great lead guitarist. He's got a great voice. It's literally just like Nirvana. Like I'd say I have like a less fluctuating voice, and I approach it more in like the Doors, or like I don't know, like Kurt. I like to just one dimensional kind of type way.
Yeah.
He's good at like falsetto and shit like that, kind of like Dave Grohl is and shit. So yeah, but I'm sure one day we'll have them do that. Just like a long time ago when I had tried mixing stuff, it just didn't work, and it confused the whole like process. And more shit kind of comes out when there's a few bands like that, like the Beach Boys. They had the bassist Brian Wilson, and he was a primary writer, and fucking Billy Joe Armstrong and Cheap Trick. There's a lot of bands where it's like that. Oh shit, I gotta get my pup. What's your cat's name?
78.
This is Bunny. Good. What you doing? Good.
And a sweater too.
Yeah, it's cold, like but those cats wouldn't mess with the sweaters. Can I swear?
Yeah,
yeah, they wouldn't fuck with the sweaters. That cat would pull that thing off in a second. I got a black cat too.
Oh, really?
We live near a field though, so sometimes they bring in fleas. So that's the only reason why I can't. I love them to death, but yeah, not during this time of year. Summer. For some reason in Northern California, there's just like ticks and fleas and shit. But that's just a cat thing. They hang out in bushes and lay in the sun and shit, But I love cats. They're cool.
Yeah, cats are good.
Yeah, shout out my.
How would you describe the Happies to someone who has not heard your band before?
I'd say like, that's tough. Alternative rock, like I don't know, like surf grunge, sunge rock, like a little bit of pop, It's tricky because, like, all right, the majority of it I'd consider what I just said. It's like the 90s and 60s. It's and like surf and like grunge from the 90s and like Beach Boys vibe from the 60s. So like that already has like pop in it, kind of, like the Beach
Yeah.
Boys are like poppy, but they're not like cringe poppy. You know what I mean? They're like talent, so they sound good or whatever. So I don't know. Yeah, I'd say it's like I just like the word alternative rock, and a lot of people hate that word, but like alternative fuels are going to be like very important, like solar and shit like that. So to me, it's just a word like that. Like it's a word that encompasses shit all the way from that rap rock fusion type shit to anywhere to like Marcy Playground or Nirvana or whatever the hell, or like
Yeah.
the new artists too. There's a lot of like new kind of rap rock type things happening, I'm kind of noticing. So the 90s are resurrecting like slowly, and rap was king for a while, kind of for like kids for a while where I live, and I see rock coming back.
Good.
I don't know why, but it is.
Yes.
And I
Um,
keep going with it. Yeah.
yeah. All right. So kind of like changing gears here. Would you change anything about your past or like have any struggles served you well in the long run?
Yeah, well, it's like public information. I like put it out there, and I don't like to, but I put it out that I had struggle with specific drugs as a kid, and then I had also been into I just had ADHD and a lot of things like that, and I had a really good childhood, but just like, even in the suburbs, people have their problems with drugs and mental health and stuff, even like higher sometimes than other places, but
Mhm. Yeah.
it's like, yeah, so it's just kind of like I try to just put that out because I was like, I've always been about, not being fake. To get back to the question though, I wouldn't change anything because I feel like it helps people to be honest, and you're really robbing them when you're not being authentic. That's the only way I can put it. Like, so for a lot of years, people are playing a role, and it just it doesn't help if people aren't really aligned with that role that
Hmm.
they're playing, so I try to be authentic because people are kind of tribal, and they flock to that. They flock to stuff like that. Like everybody in my band I feel is very real, and even when we bicker and shit like a family, like, or disagree, like we're real, and that resonates in the music, I think, like sometimes. And but yeah, I think it's no, but there's stuff that was really hard, like going to jail and stuff. I was definitely not proud of. The opiates and things like that had really warped my mind, and I think they really pull you in and make that the only thing that's important, and then you lose your morals and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
And it
I-
changes like your brain
yeah,
on a chemical. Yeah.
exactly. So I didn't. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm not very proud of like things that I had done, and just like being a kid in general, like growing up, and like just like a lot of guys, like just any. I think there's just specific struggles you have, like trying to be cool and shit like that in specific ways. I think a lot of you look back and you're just kind of like, I was a dumbass, but then you're not. I believe like you learn a lot from making mistakes. So there's like a culture today of like, cancel things when it's wrong, but from an addict perspective, if you didn't mess up, then you don't like really take time to be like somebody who really cares about the world, or somebody who really understands how important things are, because from taking it for granted, you then learn how important stuff is. So
Yeah.
every mistake I've made has made me think with more integrity about how I act. So
Yeah. It adds
I've done,
more
yeah,
value.
yeah. I guess the short answer would be I'm not proud of everything I've done, but I'm a better person for learning from it.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
so I'll ask you this. Do you believe in
Mhm.
regrets?
Um, yeah, yeah, I think that it is a real thing that you can have if you yeah, you're just not being really present. Like, and what I mean by really present is like really like what someone would say is woke, like going out and trying to find yourself, or like going for a hike and really thinking about what you need and like what you would dream of and all that type of stuff. So I think if you don't take the time to do that, you can have some regrets.
Yeah. Because I feel like I don't believe in regrets because everything
Yeah.
that happened, sort of like what you were saying, everything that's happened, it's like created who you are and your appreciation of what you have and all that. So it's like
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because I would say that I have some things like again that I re- like wish I didn't do, or it was really hard to go through. But I don't know. I don't know if I would be me if I didn't
Yeah.
like would I rather I didn't go like get really into drugs and I'd still be on a ton of drugs. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say. It's like
Right.
I got it out of my system, and it's still always like inside of me and an urge to
Yeah.
go escape and stuff. So it's not like I lost anything. It's just that I learned the tools of not of seeing what the trial and error of that type of stuff.
So like
And
if you have the urge, like now, for example, what do you employ to navigate that?
dude, I my guitar, I grab my guitar and I try to just like escape through music, like transcend like meditation. And then I enjoy like the hustle of like trying to get something out there. You know what I mean? My music and the band's music, and a message or a music video, and but
So
I think of what I'm grateful for, though, to be honest. If I'm really really tripping out and I'm like,
yeah.
oh, I want to go like, like my like addict side comes out, um I'll think of what I'm grateful for. I'll think of stuff like there's kids with cancer, or there's like poverty or whatever, like people like racism or sexism. I'll try to just think of things that suck,
So you
that
see the big picture outside of your own life.
yeah, yeah, even down to like really nitty gritty of like, like an animal in like a slaughterhouse. And I'm not like a vegetarian or something, but I still am mindful of the world in a way. That's just me too. I don't like want to like push a specific thing, but that's just been my experience. I've been like that, kind of like a sensitive kid, and that was kind of hard growing up, to be honest. Like being really sensitive because you like go to work or you're whatever, and I don't know, just like I was talking about, this is like something kind of interesting. I was like talking about like growing up as someone who got into drug abuse and stuff, and how you have to like in the world you got to like lie a lot, and for
Mhm.
addicts that's like a tough thing. Like don't get I'm like Irish and I'll like not talk about shit, or it's like out of sight out of mind, but I don't like having to actually physically say some shit that isn't true or something,
Right.
because it's the same types of shit that led to like me doing drugs. Like, oh, I'm not doing drugs, I'm just like putting a weird chemical inside of my nose. Like I'm not like doing drugs though. Like, so it's just those little like tiny lines of like, I don't know, like there's a lot of bullshit in the world, and I guess I want to be kind of try to bring back a chance for people to be more pure, and like, yeah, they may be fucked up and do shit you don't like, but at least you know where they stand. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. How old were you when you started getting into drugs?
I was like 16, or nah, fuck, I was like 14 probably. But like with someone, if you're like an addict, there's always like shit before, like, like stealing, like shoplifting or whatever, dude, fireworks, vandalism. And, I was an ADD kid, like a lot of these like musician people were like Kurt Cobain and, what's his name? Dave Grohl and Bradley Noel, they all had ADD. A lot of these kids had ADD. I was one of those kids on meds, and I wasn't a bad kid, but I just wanted to stimulate people. I wanted to like, I don't know. I was like a class clown kind of. I was kind of crazy as a kid. And not like getting in a lot of trouble, but I'd have to write like 1,000 times. I will not, distract us. Like I was one of those kids.
Do you think you like acted out as a way to like, I don't know, some way to like balance your sensitivity?
Yeah, like and I think I was just kind of sensitive, and my parents got divorced, and I think deep down I didn't know I like cared. I probably cared. And it was for the best though. I shout out to my family. They're so sweet and like supportive and stuff. And really like my but yeah, like my dad was a SF fireman, and he was in the Marines. And growing up, there's a little bit of that like, you got to be tough, Nick, or you're never going to get in the Marines, and like all that type of shit. And like he was really cool. And then when he got older, he like mellowed out, really really chill. And but I think I like I didn't know, like I felt like a alien or something. I felt like I just didn't belong. I was kind of like, I don't feel like everyone else, you know what I mean? And it was kind of hard. Yeah.
Did you have a lot of friends?
I did get along with pretty much like every type of person. I can say that. I can say like from the nerds to like the kids into the drugs.
Yeah.
I kind of just like could talk to everyone. Um and yeah, like I didn't have a hard time in school. Like in high school, I was even a homecoming, what's it called, Prince or whatever,
Same.
freshman year. It was pretty funny. And but
So you had
like
a crown on your head?
I had to do, yeah, I got to do the whole little like drive around the town in the car and all that type of shit. It was pretty funny. But yeah, like I had the ADD was really like a hard thing for me, because like I actually I didn't get like the worst grades and all that, but it would take me a little longer to ascertain information, or I don't know if that's the right word. So if I just made up a word, I apologize. But
Well, I was just
I
thinking, I was like, shit, what does that word mean?
I'm a little slow. I am a little slow. So I'll say like
To absorb information?
yeah, like, but once I got something, I would really lock it in, but I
Yeah.
would have to take longer on tests and shit like that. And I get anxiety before tests. And just a lot of yeah, like I definitely had ADD or whatever you'd want to call that. I guess now they're calling that like autistic or something, but for me it was just like, and the ADD of like I'd always be kind of like wanting to do some other thing. It was
So
weird.
what kind of stuff helps to mellow you out and balance you so that you're not so stimulated and all over the place?
Oh man, sometimes it's the wrong stuff, and then sometimes it's the right stuff, or like exercise, or like uh I think if I'm really inside my head, I like to ask how other people are doing, because it's a psychological thing to get you outside of yourself. If you care about other things more than what's in your head, or you have to pay attention to them, you no longer can pay attention to the thoughts in your head. So I like to see how other people are doing, or like get outside of myself. And but again, music really can transcend me and make me feel like more in touch with that like inner kid I got, um that is trying to like create a movie or something, or like in their head, or a story or something.
Yeah.
So it's like a great escape. I love transcending through music. It's just like meditation. It's the same thing. You can escape through it. The Credence guy, John Fogerty, said the same thing. He would just kind of look at a wall and kind of like come into a song, and then like later get the lyrics down and shit. So it's a similar type vibe.
That's awesome. Do you meditate or have you in the past?
Yeah, I listen to affirmations every night.
Really?
Every night. Yeah, I
Like to
listen to
fall
like,
asleep to?
you are going to be a better person, and you are getting like all that type of,
Yeah.
because my brain is wired to really, my Irish side of my family, like we all just, you want to talk regrets and shit. The whole Irish side of my family is,
Catholic.
oh man, yeah, you know, I don't know. So I have a little side of that, and I like to wire it with positivity. When I was a kid, really young, I do remember people and teachers being like, "You can be anything." I don't know, like if it was like a Bay Area thing, they're really like open minded, or I have no idea like where that came from. But what I'm getting at is like, along as an adult, they're like, you know, it's the opposite of that. They're like, you go to a place and they're like, dude, focus. Like, I don't know what you're thinking about, but you need to focus right here. None of that shit matters and all that.
Right.
So, and like the boss is always right and all that. So I like to wire myself with the opposite of that, and to believe that my feelings do matter, and that,
Which they do.
yeah, and I believe that rubs off if you do it enough and you really embody that, you know.
Yeah, it does. It starts to rewire your brain.
Yeah.
If you have you ever gone for like a few nights where you're not listening to it? Like where
Mhm.
do you feel different? Like
Yeah, I do, because anything, it's like meds or anything, or like, or a pattern, like working out, practicing a job. It's like if you stop doing it, you fall into like the unconscious, you fall into like, you know, a pattern of not really knowing what's going on anymore. So
yeah,
I'll just find myself in a bad mood, or I'm arguing, and um that's how I know I need to listen sometimes. Again, it goes back to that thing of like, it's a very small example, but if you don't mess up, sometimes you don't know how to be better, or
yeah,
why it's important to not mess up.
exactly.
So yeah, so I just think that the world would be a better place if people showed more skin, uh and like the internet, I think, is really really good. I really do, like, I use it as a tool a lot, but I think that there's aspects of it that we all know we can keep getting more digital and AI and being like a matrix type thing, but we're robbing ourselves of community and that tribal part of being a human being, which is really important. So I think that there's power. It's the same thing as anything. It's like being like, hey, I know I'm smart enough to like go get $1 billion, but I'm gonna settle with 1 million to be happier and be more authentic. It's that same type of thing that I think like that's good for people, and they should do that with the internet. They should be like, yeah, we can like dive into this matrix, or we can keep it where it's at and keep some interaction with people.
Yeah.
And I think we are tribal. Like, people are, you go back into history and it's just, yeah, we're tribal. So it's I try to do that with music too, and I'll get a little shit for that. I'll be like, not as many effects, and yeah, I know my voice cracked there, but like keep that in and keep
Yeah, like
that.
keep it stripped down.
Yeah, because yes, we can edit it to make it sound like a really cool thing, like a school project, but it's like, it's dope to re-engage the tribal thing. Like, I'd rather be known for inventing a new way or bringing up a new thing than being really big on the thing that was already made or something. Not that I'm against that or something. I just think it's a really cool artist can pave a way, and you just don't want things to be like too boring. You don't want it to be like um too predictable or something, I guess, you know.
Yeah. Do you ever think about like what kind of legacy you would want to leave behind?
Yeah, I just like to be remembered as somebody who tried to inspire people to be themselves, and that was a big music enthusiast, and someone that could bring like euphoria through music and stuff like that, through sound.
Yeah.
I want to, yeah, like touch on like that music. How I said earlier, it's like a drug to me. It's like I had that, I said earlier, I Shazammed, my dad had passed away and he had these tapes, and it was this Irish folk music. And when I Shazammed it and the song came up through like a tape player, I got like a rush, and I was listening to it and I was like, oh, it did the same thing for me that drugs had done, where it had filled like a void. And it's like, that's really powerful. You know, I had like goosebumps all over my body, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And that was always really important to me as a kid. I used to be like with a camcorder, either like making movies or into sound, but it took a long time to get the discipline to learn like how to play chords and all that. I sung young and wrote really young and was in like chorus and shit in 5th grade. But yeah, but I just like I learned, I don't know, music was always very important to me, and it was always very important to me. People used to go, there's nothing you can sing that can't be like already done and shit. And I always loved being like, well, what about like this, what about this, and doing some crazy sound. And I just loved proving people wrong, and the power of music.
Cool. Um, I'm trying like what kind of meditation do you do?
um so here's like a weird like, do you are I do those affirmations, but it's like when I go to sleep, like I don't know, it's called like the REMs or whatever, but you're in stages of sleep, and I'll literally transcend, and I'll pretend it's like, you know, someone really nice, like somebody like you, a nice person is telling me these things, like somebody who's like a friend is telling me these things. And it's easier to do that when I'm more close to like a tired
Yeah.
state. And then sometimes I'll sit and I'll just be like, and like try to, you know, like whatever, 4 seconds in. But
Hmm.
dude, I've always had this thing with sleep paralysis. Do you know what sleep paralysis is? Sleep paralysis is like when
When
you're,
you're not moving, right?
yeah, you're stuck. So I've always had weird things to sleep since I was a little kid. Even like hallucinations, I would be stuck. And yeah, it's like called like hypogena. It's got a really weird name, but you're basically just in between a dream sleep and an awake sleep. And it's an interesting Google if you want to type in sleep paralysis. But yeah, you feel like something's on your chest. But if you can do it the right way and bring like positivity in rather than like the nightmare vibe and all that, you know, like uh, that's like meditating for me. It's like before I go to sleep. But or like in music, if I'm warming up, sometimes it's like, I don't know the type of yoga, but there's a type of yoga with like humming and chanting, and
Yeah.
music again is kind of like that. It's like a tribal thing to me,
Yeah.
where I don't really know exactly what it is yet. I'm sure I'll find out the proper like name for it, but when I'm humming or doing exercises with the guitar, I all of a sudden don't feel like the world's going to end or whatever. I don't know. So it just, music is powerful like that. It's really cool.
When you started writing, like writing songs, writing music, was that sort of an outlet for you, or did you journal or anything like any other writing as well, or just songs?
Yeah, I started off journaling. I started off as a little kid, and it would always be a cluster of like 4 songs. Like if I had heard like Smashing Pumpkins, Johnny Cash, all that, I would like in my head like get on a tape recorder and hum like this mesh of these 4 things, and then sing my own thing going on during my day to that mesh of that. And that's still kind of like how I write music. And so I did that seriously since I was like, God, like 7 or 8. And
Oh,
then
wow.
yeah, like really young. And yeah, um and I remember I listened to System of a Down when I was young, and that was the first thing where I could really like hear their specific, real specific lyrics. And like, so I got more into lyrics, I think, from that. And like American Pie, like world music, I'd kind of just like, but yeah. And then I think like I started playing guitar at like 14 or so. And but I think a good musician listens to good music or whatever. So like in the world, right, if there's like a type of music that's been slept on for a while or whatever, and someone's obsessed with that music, and then they're like playing stuff inspired from that, I think that sometimes that creates a good artist. It's like someone who, timing and like taste,
Hmm.
kind of. So if you like listen to really good stuff, there's exceptions, you know what I'm saying? Like I've seen people like wearing like really cutty band shirts and I don't necessarily flock to their music. Um, but yeah, like I think people who listen to good music can write good music. And music is subjective. So, you know,
It is.
a lot
It's
of people hate the happies. Seriously, a lot of people are like, this is, I don't know, they can't, they don't like it. But they're usually kids like me who are kind of troubled, you know.
Well,
Like,
I have a friend and he plays music and I don't know, one of the songs or something that he put out, someone commented, I guess, that they were like, this is horrible, like
yeah.
the singer
And it's
sucks or whatever. And he was like, that was the best comment, even over like, hey, good music, hey, I like it. He's like, because I was able to affect someone that strongly through my art.
exactly, yeah. Exactly. I like that a lot. That's really, really wise right there. And I agree. And you also just have to think that there's what, like almost like 7 billion people or whatever, and it's not going to be for everybody for a lot of reasons. It might be like my nose, or it might, I don't know what, like it could be one, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
something
could
like
remind them of a
trivial.
guy who, yeah, I could remind them of a guy who dated their girlfriend, or like I don't know, like it could be a lot of things. um yeah, because there's a lot like that goes into like everyone in specific, you know what I mean? And like I would say that if people knew, like really knew my life story and the struggle with the drugs and the, and like battling with my own brain and having to crawl out of that, and how many years it took, and jobs I lost because of
How many years
music,
did it take?
just like, God, it took to get away from all that stuff. Like it took a lot of like brainwashing and shit to like get my head right. Like just a lot of very intense therapy and punishment. And so I always have empathy. I never judge somebody who's using drugs. I never do, because I understand. Um and but yeah, like it just took a fluster of a lot of different things at the same time, like court programs and
Hmm.
living in a halfway house and all this stuff at the same time. And like my first time I played at like a bar with a band, I my I was in drug court, and then the head of drug court of the probation officers was at the bar, and I wasn't supposed to be at bars, or I go to jail. And I played, and I saw her in the crowd, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god," you know, like I'm about to get in hella trouble. And she liked the music, and then she talked to my PO, and she's like, "Look, this is good for him. You know, he used to be this like crazy kid, and he was all into drugs. Like that music thing for him, it works. He can go to bars, like write it in his thing." So that was a big deal for me. That was kind of like the world at its worst, the correctional system accepting my music. So that was big for me. You know, I grew up to Johnny Cash and all that, and redemption of like going through drugs and going to jail and all that, or whatever, you know. So that was a big ass deal for me, that the correctional system had respected my music.
Yeah, that's amazing. Did she
And
just
she was there drunk, so she shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be at places drunk when you're telling kids not to do drugs.
was she just like randomly there? Or I mean like it was just
It
like
was a fun spot. I grew up in the city, Novato, and it's about 20 minutes from San Francisco, and it's a suburb of San Francisco. And it's a very cool spot because it's quiet, and there's either a very chill vibe, or there's a lot of people getting together to have fun and stuff, you know, like the Summer of Love supposed to be started in Novato at this place called All in Polly, where the Grateful Dead all live, blah 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 blah. So there's a weird community element, and then it's very chill and quiet, and then like community element. And it was just one of those times where everyone was all hanging out together and having fun.
that's cool.
Real weird. Okay, but, I my first time I played live, I walked into this place, and I was at in Santa Fe, this city, and it was living at a halfway house, and there was a church that was converted into a theater, like a Tim Burton type thing. It's called the Belrose. And I saw a guy walk in with a guitar, and I walked in, and it was all these older people, you know, like 70 or so, but they were really cool. Like they were seriously really like chill old people, like very bohemian-y, and like I don't know, they're all like drinking and kissing each other. They're crazy and shit. And I learned how to play in front of them. And then I come to find out I watched this documentary and it was part of this hippie commune that I was telling you about on that place, Rancho Olimpoli in Novato, this state park now. It was one of the first hippie communes called the Chosen Family. So they were there. There was this hippie commune, and I didn't know that they were this like famous Grateful Dead people. I didn't. So they were like a famous what are they called? Commune,
Yeah.
famous commune. I didn't know those. So that was where I learned how to play. I learned how to play in front of a bunch of deadhead hippie commune
Did they try
elderly
and
people.
recruit you?
Huh?
Did they try and recruit you?
They did. I mean, they already got me in there, and I still am friends with them to this day.
Oh,
So
really?
this was 2011 or 12. So it was almost a decade, and they're awesome. They even have a movie about them, All in Polly, a hippie odyssey. It's worth checking out. It's very cool. They were way cooler than I was. They're having orgies and doing drugs and like they're way more far out. Maybe us millennials will live up to that, but we'll have to see. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, you of all people can like tap into that and bring it back. I don't doubt it.
I appreciate that a lot. I thank you seriously.
Um, so was there anything that you did specifically that helped you like stop with your drugs, like opiates and stuff?
Yeah, being busy and distracting myself really helped me. Like when I was very I just like kept busy and I would always be either working or writing music and again, gratitude really kept me so like you were talking about the drugs change the chemistry of your brain. So I would have to literally psychologically change it by myself or whatever. So I would have to be like I'd write a list of like 1,000 things, you know, that I was grateful for, down to like, you know, that people can tolerate me, that people that I don't have cancer, that I don't like a list of things. And I think that that's good for everybody, even if you're not an addict, just write a thing of because you can be everyone's kind of addicted to technology and stuff like that. And so it's good to do that. And I also in the beginning I obviously needed all like the 12 step things and stuff like that. I when I went to outpatient also it helped me a little more than inpatient rehabs. And I just kind of found out through one of the guys, he's like, you know, well, you suffer a lot from anxiety disorder that probably leads you to self medicate. So when I got a grip on my anxiety a little bit, it was easier to not use because I was kind of trying to shut up the ADD in me and the society thing where everyone was like, you know, you're not really like us and you need to be like us. That was always really hard for me and I think
Mhm.
that led me to do drugs. And I don't know, you know, you get older and you learn a little bit more and you just get used to the same old shit and it's not they don't get you as much, just like the haters online, like they get to me a little bit, but at the end of the day I don't care because a lot of really famous people have liked my shit and I care, no offense, more about what that person says than a kid who's 14 and his parents just got divorced and he hates his I feel for that kid. Don't get me wrong. Like I feel for him, but if we're talking about like a taste or a thing that he might believe in, I just don't relate to
Well,
him on
but
that or
but
her.
that's true though, is like so I mean, possibly all the time, but so often is when someone makes some like shitty remark or like
Yeah.
says something cruel, it's because they have suffering going on.
Yeah, it's the bully. Yeah, a
Yeah.
bully or whatever. Yeah, like his parents treat him like shit or her, and then
Mhm.
they treat them like shit. So it's just a passed down trait. It's been going on forever, and we have even more people. So yeah, it's just it's good to just not give a shit as much, you know. And again, yeah, I learn a lot from people that, you know, like my friend said, you know, you guys are kind of poppy, and I'm like, all right. Or another friend said, when you were younger, you used to be kind of like crazier and less like commercial or trying to like appear to be this specific thing. And I'm like, yeah, I can see that like a little bit. And I appreciate that feedback. So like I'll take feedback. The online thing though, there's just a lot of kids who,
It just
no
doesn't
offense, like
matter.
they never met you, they never
Yeah.
talked to you, so it's not real. It's like,
And
yes, that's a
that's
real
like
person, but they
that's
don't know you. Like,
right. And that's a generational thing too, is just like everyone just talks shit online now.
yeah, which I
And
think is something that could be worked on, like where
yeah,
it's like everyone's trying to like get the pitchforks and be like, what did this person do right? And it's like, or wrong. And it's like, what did they do right? Maybe, or like it's always the opposite. It's like, let's attack this person. And people are just different. And that's another thing, like with online stuff. If I see like some really hateful shit, I won't even comment on it because I'm not going to help the algorithm of it. I'm not going to give it more attention and put it on more people's feed. If
mhm.
I hate something, I don't comment on it.
Plus, I
So
mean,
if, yeah,
it's
like they're
good
paying
not to
attention. Yeah.
yeah, and it's good not to engage anyways. And I
Yeah.
feel like another thing that's a detriment is everyone just like throws this shit out there, but
Yeah.
they don't see the person's reaction or like that it impacts them and it hurts someone's
Yeah.
feelings. Like that's like gone
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, that's a very dangerous and probably has a little bit to do with like high mental health rates. And I really feel for like the mental health struggle of what's going on and stuff. And it's nothing new. And yeah, even in like I live in Marin and it's a nice place. There's some like spots that are worse than others or whatever, but it's like there is like a really high addiction and mental health and suicide um underbelly. And it's kind of like, um what does it matter if like we're killing ourselves or whatever. So it's like it's kind of like we have to, the only way to change is to try to be that change, I guess. Like Gandhi said, it's corny as hell, but like be the change you want to see. That can work to a degree. I,
Yeah.
I do believe you can kind of like try to strive, and then people will, if you do good, they'll follow you or whatever, they'll
Mhm.
be about it.
I mean, I do believe that like if you're sort of like in like a frequency of love and gratitude, then like you're going to connect with more people like that and
Yeah.
going to affect more people positively than like,
Yeah.
being quicksand and pulling people down.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, and I think that, yeah, I definitely agree with that. I was gonna say something, but I'm just like, no, I just kind of agree with that.
Case closed on it.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. I was just like, I couldn't say it really better than that.
Yeah. What kind of stuff have you done, like any good tactics to help manage anxiety? Like if someone else has anxiety, any tips?
That's a really good question, and I will say, um, I had a really bad anxiety attack like 2 days ago where I like couldn't breathe, and it was really freaky. Just like, it's a lot of stuff. I had a lot of things. I had reasons to be anxious, you know what I mean? But I felt like I couldn't breathe. I've had this for a while. Like before, like I said, when I was young, I'd take tests and I'd start before a big test or something where it was going to affect my report card. I'd start kind of like freaking out, uh, and forget to breathe and all that. Um, there's levels of anxiety, and some of them, if it's really bad, um, I do recommend like, they go to a doctor and see if they need meds because if it's affecting like your breathing and then stress might mess you up. Stress kills you, first of all. Like stress literally will actually kill people quicker. That's a fact. Stress is really bad. It's not bad. It's good to have some stress and to feel, and roll with the
Motivation
punches
from
though too. Yeah, it's good to roll with the punches too. But if you're having like an anxiety attack, I think it's good. The affirmations help me. Um, Being busy helps me, meaning like cleaning my room, because my anxiety will literally lead almost at a time to like a paranoia thing, like, oh no, I might die, or like irrational thought, like, like which things, it's the definition that it's like of anxiety is like panic and shit. So yeah, I keep distracted. um I exercise. um
You do like when you feel it coming on, like an anxiety attack, do you try and intercept it with like breathing techniques or anything?
I do, but usually by then it's like it's just fucking on and cracking. It's like, I'm here, Nick. You're gonna be my bitch like for the next 20 minutes. So that I have to just physically do something usually, which is where I'll like start cleaning, um, or I'll organize something, and that helps less clutter in my life or something. And then or I'll call somebody. Um, I'll the affirmations help, like a YouTube, just anxiety music or affirmations help. Uh, Playing music, working out. Um,
Hey, do you
hmm.
have any like recommendations for if there's specific people you listen to for like affirmation stuff or any like kind of like self-help improvement things?
Yeah, literally, I would just say, like for me too. I think a lot of people with anxiety, they have like insomnia and stuff, so that's why I listen to it at night, because my friend always used to say, like, like, you're up all night because you're thinking about stuff. And it would trip me out because I was like, how does he know, or whatever? Like, I don't know. But anyways, it's just very true. Like, thoughts keep me up. So it just helps me at night. I literally get, I fluctuate to whatever I'm feeling, and I try to find the exact feeling I'm thinking. This past couple of years, grief has led to anxiety. Or I'm sorry, God, I used a different name. Not grief. When somebody passes, I'm trying to think of that word, or maybe anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, like loss. I'll listen to a specific affirmation on law on like grieving, or and usually just like the ones with the most views a lot of times are ones that people resonated with, and that's why they have a lot of views. So if you just type in anxiety affirmation or like positivity affirmation, and just like close your eyes, that helps a lot. I also use like light therapy. That bright ass light right there
Yeah.
is I use that. And that, if you're really sensitive, can literally kind of like, it can increase energy. So at night it can make you kind of anxious. So I don't use it at night, but in the morning I use it. But yeah, working out, playing music, not playing anxious music when I'm anxious is important. Uh that's how sensitive I am to like sound and whatever outside things sometimes. So I try to do the opposite of what I'm thinking, like if
Yeah.
I'm anxious, I'm going to listen to a really chill ass thing. I'm not going to go listen to like Primus or like or something like,
Yeah, amped up like yeah.
yeah. Or if I'm really genuinely sad, I'm not going to listen to some depressing shit then, because that's when it might lead to bad depression or something. So, yeah, I don't double down on shit. I try to do a opposite.
That is
So,
smart.
yeah, I think a lot of people kind of can relate to that or whatever, like they don't drink coffee if they're anxious or whatever, or they'll not.
Does that overstimulate you at all? Or like
It can, or like, dude, I think caffeine is really weird. Um, Sometimes, like, cause it'll really work for me, and I drink coffee and caffeine for sure, and or like before a show. But sometimes it'll just stimulate my nervous system, like my body. It'll get my body, and then my mind is just fuck. Though it's not like making me move faster in my brain. So it literally just made me more anxious. Or it'll be really good and make me feel really good and like euphoric. I'm like, I swear I'm like reincarnation of some English fucking guy. I drink hella tea. I drink like 6 to 7 things of tea a day. I drink a lot of tea. So I don't know.
Are
It's
there
good for your voice.
certain kinds of tea that you like, or just any
Yeah,
tea?
yeah, like the company that makes throat, what's it called? Throat
Traditional
coat.
medicinals.
Yeah, I like them. And I like there's a new brand. God, I wish I could figure out the name, but there's two kind of mainstream brands that are at like gas stations and they look really like classy and like there's a good type of tea that you might know what I mean. It's just got like a very nice picture on the front and it looks very like just like good quality. And it is. It's like it's good stuff.
That one, right.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
descriptive.
know I can't remember it. I
Oh,
like coffee though, don't get me wrong. Like I love like good coffee, but I guess like when I lost people or when I got off of drugs, I was hypersensitive to every drug. So I just am careful with whatever I put in my body because it affects me a lot. Like coffee for me could be like cocaine to somebody. You know what I mean? Because I'm so hypersensitive. It was weird. Like when I lost my dad, I became like I really had to grow up fast or I was going to be in trouble. I had to be like, all right, I had to grow up for myself. And whatever, if I smoked a stove or I drank coffee, I would feel it a lot. And I don't know how to explain that, but it just so I'm just careful with whatever tea and coffee that I'm paying attention to my body and what it's doing and not getting too gacked out on coffee.
yeah. Are there any supplements that you take?
Yeah, magnesium I like to calm down. And then I just take like vitamin E and stuff that's good for your lungs. And I got all that from my dad. He was a big vitamin head. He liked
Oh
vitamins
yeah.
a lot. Yeah, and let's see. Otherwise, I noticed you were into vitamins too. Like, what type of vitamins you like?
I've gotten super into mushrooms,
Yeah,
like reishi, lion's mane, cordyceps.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
actually, I have one of the products I sell. It's a singer's. I was calling it a musician's kit, and my buddy was
yeah,
like, "You got to narrow it down." I was like, "Okay, it's a singer's kit."
yeah.
And there's an herbal throat spray, and then another like a mushroom immune boosting spray, and
Cool.
a mushroom blend that helps with like oxygen uptake and energy and like lung support and stuff like that.
Wow. I'm definitely gonna give that a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, my lungs and like my throat. I've gone vocal coaches and stuff, but it's taken a beating, you know. And I always wondered how people like Kurt Cobain and all that, and Lane Staley and all those like grunge people, blues artists, how they're just like screaming and would go on these long tours because you can like straight up just lose your voice if you don't scream right, you know.
Yeah.
I know you don't tension your face and stuff like that. You want to be like still as you yell, but yeah, I don't know. I just I've had like little throat like challenges. So I think that's why I drink so much tea. I do drink a lot. Like is a pretty staggering amount of tea. Like 7 cups. 7 cups, it may not like seem like a lot, but that adds up. Like if you
Yeah.
put it in a gallon jug or like had as many as you drink a year, it would be a lot of tea. Like it really would. It'd be like a small pond of tea.
What's your favorite quote?
All right, yeah. So I remember you had, let's see. I this is kind of corny, but I really like be yourself because everyone else is taken, Oscar Wilde, because I think like I don't hate on society and like the pop culture, but in a way it's like I do feel like it got just stripped down to auto tune and just like bitches be tripping when I don't know, it's all about like just the same shit, drugs, sex, and a beat. And there's no like actual like stimulation of like real thought and shit. And then people wonder why people are getting dumb. It's like so I don't know. I like just like individuality and people striving to be themselves. Um And I just don't like when people are like, okay, all these bands did this. So we have like 16 bands and I'm gonna dress like this and I'm gonna talk like this and I'm gonna like look like that and I'm gonna like I hate
It's
that
a
shit.
formula.
I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, art is supposed to be authentic and you're copying and pasting like a fake personality. Be yourself. And sometimes in art, you there's gonna be like a little bit of suffering. Like that's why they call it painting. I think that's a fucking Andy Warhol quote. Like, art is supposed to have pain. That's why they call it painting. I don't condone like being depressed or anything like that, but I will say there's something about if you go through a little bit of shit about a good song coming out of it, because it's like a plant, like if you throw fertilizer and all the shit inside of the soil, the plant is stronger for it. So it's like I do believe if you're just fake and you're putting on this image and all this shit, you're robbing the world of that tribal like feeling of music, which I'm trying to get more back to. And so yeah, be yourself because everyone is taken, I guess.
I
What's
like
your favorite quote? What's your favorite?
mine is one of mine is in the middle of chaos lies opportunity.
That's dope too. That kind of I can feel that too. It's like it kind of parallels what I was thinking about in my head. I feel about like yeah, like during hardship is beauty and stuff. So
Exactly. It's like
yeah,
a fertilizer analogy.
exactly. Which is kind of like a weird analogy, but I'm just saying it's scientific. If you had to like look at it from a factual thing, you're like, yeah, that's true. Like he's not lying.
No, that
For,
is
yeah.
it's legit like a good analogy.
And yeah, just that's something
Good
people kind
job.
of like. I
um,
like that quote. That's a good quote that
yeah.
you have.
Do you guys have anything cool coming out for 2021? Any projects?
Yeah, so we got a couple singles coming out and so part of the reason if you look at the track record of our music, there's like tripping and bipolar, and the reason I do that is because I like the authenticity of trying to open up dialogue through the music and actually have like some real changes and or even just discussions on things, you know what I mean, or like a broadening horizon. So I'm just tapping into what we talked about in the interview about like ADD and ADHD. And I think on another album I'm not gonna do that, but um yeah, so this we're working on an album called ADHD and we have a lot of it done, and so there'll be a lot of new music. And I listened to the roughs and I am pretty excited. I really think people will dig it. I think there's some good shit on this album, and it's just like again like I with the producer I was like, he's like, what type of sound are you looking for? And I just picked a lot of like really kind of I think good bands and shit that were really like heavy hitters of the day. So I think that it'll be a good album, and we'll have there's like some lighthearted shit on the album. There's some really heavy shit. It's like a journey, it's
Yeah,
it's a fucking adventure, and I think the album's gonna be really sick. And but yeah, let the people decide.
that's awesome. How you were saying like opening the dialogue like from the last, at least the last album. So I was listening to the song Manic, right?
Yeah,
So it occurred to me listening to that, like all of a sudden it's just like all these thoughts like boop 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 like lined up. So
yeah,
a buddy of mine is bipolar, and I
yeah,
had him talking to an herbalist, and the first thing that because he was trying to manage it without pharmaceuticals,
yeah,
and she said the first thing we want to do is focus on your adrenals and stress management. And I was like, okay, like cool. And then hearing that, because you sing I'm stressed, and then the song is called Manic, and I was like, oh
yeah,
fuck, that's it. Yeah. So like the stress like will exacerbate or start like a manic episode.
yeah.
I don't know. It was just interesting that listening to that made that click in my head.
Yeah, no, that song, like bipolar was touching on a little more like a love feeling of like it not making sense, and it feels good, and then really bad, and then touching on it a little bit. And I had taken lithium before and had been thought of, but I mainly had like this weird depression thing going on. But with the mania, I had been getting mania when I had gone sober, um because I had like been feeling a lot of like rushes, and then it would just kind of like be like, I'd be like, this is kind of messed up. You know what I'm saying? So it would be really fun at first, and then like, I don't know what I think about all this. So it's like I'm manic, I'm stressed, the FBI is under my bed, like, um was kind of again trying to have fun with it. I think all the people in the happies too liked movies, and it was kind of like we were thinking of that thing in Goodfellas when he's getting chased by the cops and they're all after him and he's kind of paranoid and wired and shit. It kind of ironically paralleled with the manic feeling. Like mania to me felt euphoric, like I
Hmm.
was almost on a substance, but I wasn't. And then so it was kind of weird. It was a
Yeah.
weird thing, and not a regret like we had talked about, but again, like, just like when you're a kid, you can be a douchebag. And I felt like I was kind of like a fuck boy and just an idiot. And like, I'm kind of hard on myself though. But you know what what I'm getting at is like the mania things would be really fun, but I bet I was really annoying around people because I was just, and I still get it. Don't get me, I still get manic. Uh, I just try to pay attention to it. But yeah, it was stressful at the end of coming of when I was manic to try to bring it down, and I couldn't bring it down. I couldn't. I would try really hard, and
How did you
I
end up coming down from it?
I just would eventually sleep and then
So it's
crash
working it out.
out. But that was a weird one. I just went through a phase of kind of like being really like just wired
Yeah.
and not even drinking caffeine, and I was like, it was trippy, but I'll say, I have a lot of respect for people fighting, mental health, and in all reality, I do it for them, and I do it for normal people that have symptoms of it, because I think if you're gonna be in art, or you're painting or doing stuff, you go through a little bit of pain with the people to, kinda resonate with them, and I feel like, I had to get manic for the people.
All right. Well, on that note, I'm going to say thank you for spending time and hanging out and sharing your thoughts and sensitive insights and things of that nature.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you for having me, Amy. I really appreciate it.
All right, cool. I'll talk to you.
Thank you.